9 men, including Memphis rappers Pooh Shiesty and Big 30, are facing federal charges for allegedly kidnapping and robbing rapper Gucci Mane about a raid at a Cordova home that belongs to Pooh Shiesty's dad.
Pooh Shiesty is facing prison time after pleading guilty to a gun charge in Miami federal court. The case against Lontrell Williams Jr. stems from 3 shootings during the past 2 years, 2 of them happening right here in South Florida.
On April 1st, 2026, right at 6 in the morning, everything flipped upside down in Cordova, Tennessee. FBI agents rolled up to a quiet family home like something straight out of a movie, lights low, energy serious. No warning at all. But here's the twist. They weren't even there for the rapper, like they came for his father. And when those agents knocked and pushed their way in with that federal warrant, the whole house felt it. Inside stood his mother, Gladys Bain, watching in shock as everything unfolded right in front of her eyes. She saw them walk her son's father out in handcuffs. No time to process, no time to react. And at that exact same moment, in a completely different state, her son was getting arrested too.
And new at 6, Memphis rapper Pooh Shiesty is out of federal prison. Court records show the Memphis native, whose real name is Lontrell Williams Jr., was released from a Pennsylvania facility after serving time for a gun charge in Florida. Williams was sentenced in 2022 to just over 5 years for conspiring to possess firearms tied to drug trafficking and violent crimes. His attorney confirmed the release, saying he's eager to return to the studio and make new music.
Same morning, same case, both taken down at once. That kind of timing doesn't just happen by accident. The charges were heavy. Robbery and kidnapping tied to Gucci Mane, a true legend in trap music, and this wasn't some random situation either. This allegedly went down at gunpoint inside a Dallas studio. What makes it even crazier is her son was supposed to be on home detention. He had a federal ankle monitor on, fresh out of prison just 6 months earlier. Everything was supposed to be calm, but instead it turned into chaos overnight. This isn't just another headline or rap story. This is deeper than that. Pooh Shiesty's situation hits like a family crisis, not just a legal one. A mother watching her world fall apart in real time, both her son and his father gone in one sweep. People everywhere started asking questions, trying to piece it together. Pooh Shiesty, born Rel Williams Jr., wasn't just another name coming out of Memphis. He was rising fast, building a name, making noise, and suddenly everything changed in one shocking morning. He was that one. The one who actually broke through and pushed Memphis drill onto the national stage in a way nobody had done before. When his debut mixtape Shiesty Season dropped in 2021, it didn't just land, it hit number 12 on the Billboard charts. Number 12, that's major.
Lontrell Williams Jr. arranged this meeting purportedly to discuss the terms of his recording contract with one of the victims.
He had features from Gucci Mane himself, plus Big 30, his day one from the city. The streets were backing him heavy, the industry was watching close, and his family was right there supporting every move. Everything looked locked in. His name was buzzing, his momentum was crazy, and it felt like nothing could slow him down. But behind all that success, something else was building up, and it wasn't good. Because the rise didn't last. The legal system caught up fast, and by 2022, Pooh Shiesty was sitting in federal prison over a gun conspiracy case out of Miami. Just like that, the spotlight turned into a courtroom and he was facing 5 years. From charting on Billboard to locked behind bars, the switch was brutal. Then October 2025 came and he was finally home. The energy was different. A new car, fans showing love, videos going viral everywhere. It felt like a fresh start.
Within hours of leaving the Dallas studio, a number of the defendants were on social media displaying some of the items that appeared to be the jewelry that had been robbed from the victims.
His mother watched him step back into freedom, thinking the worst was finally over. After everything they went through, it looked like they made it past the storm. But that peace didn't last long at all. Just 3 months later, things took another sharp turn. He allegedly walked into a recording studio in Dallas, Texas with 9 people, including his own father. And what happened next sent shockwaves everywhere. Hip-hop felt it, Memphis felt it, and his family felt it the hardest. Gladys Baines was left standing there, watching everything fall apart again in real time. To really understand how everything crashed like that, you gotta go all the way back to the start. Not just a little rewind, we're talking the full picture. Trell Williams Jr. grew up in Memphis, Tennessee. a city with its own sound, its own rules, its own way of moving that stands out from anywhere else in the South.
Never mind, it's been confirmed by the Department of Justice. Pooh Shiesty, Big 30, and his dad are sitting in jail because they robbed Gucci Mane. Like, tricked yourself out your position to go be with boys again. I will never understand it, bro. Side note, I just left the gym to report this. Here's the official story. Basically, Pooh Shiesty, Big 30, and his dad, with 8 other men, pushed up to the studio where Gucci Mane was. All the men whipped out firearms and robbed Gucci Mane and his people that was in the studio. Not only that, Pooh Shiesty forced Gucci Mane and whoever else was there to sign a contract releasing him from the label. And now all the men in Pooh Shiesty have been caught, which is weird because if you think about it, how did they know the names of all the other dudes? And now people are accusing Gucci Mane of telling, while others are saying that no, the studio just gave the information to the cops. Regardless, bruh, you was just sitting in jail with boys every single day. You eat, sleep with boys. You finally come back to shotties, and the first thing you do is put yourself at risk to be with boys again. I won't never understand that. You're a multi-millionaire, bro. You don't like to be with boys again? Really? Anyways, what do you guys think about the situation? I'm about to go back to hitting my reps.
This is the same place that gave the world 3-6 Mafia. A place where street music wasn't just created, it shaped the culture before the rest of the country even caught on. That's the environment he came up in, and right there beside him from day one was his mother, Gladys Baines. She stayed in his corner the whole time, supporting him, pushing him, making sure he stayed focused as his music started picking up real attention. Then things got serious. The Gucci Mane cosign came through, and that changed everything. When 1017 Records reached out in 2020, it felt like the moment the family had been waiting on had finally arrived. All that work, all that grind, it was starting to pay off in a big way. His father, Trell Williams Sr., wasn't distant either. He was present, close, and according to federal prosecutors, way more involved in his son's world than most people realized. That detail would end up meaning a lot later on. And then there's Rodney Wright, Jr., known as Big 30, not just a collaborator. That was his brother from Memphis, for real. They came up together, made music together, and stayed connected through everything. When Shiesty season dropped and started making noise, Big 30 was right there beside him. When things went left and Pooh Shiesty ended up in prison, Big 30 kept pushing forward, and when he came home, that same loyalty was still solid. That bond matters more than people think. Because prosecutors say that same close circle is exactly what placed Big 30 among the 9 people inside that Dallas studio on January 10th, 2026. That moment right there, that's when everything started turning into a federal situation. By October 2025, the stage was already set, and nobody around them realized just how fast things were about to spiral. Pooh Shiesty walked out of federal prison after serving 3 years of a 5-year sentence. He had taken a plea, admitting to conspiring to possess a firearm tied to violent situations and drug activity. That decision got him home earlier than expected, but freedom didn't come without pressure. He stepped out to fans going wild online, videos blowing up, people celebrating his return like he never left. The moment was huge. It felt like a comeback story in real time. But behind all that hype, there were serious conditions attached. He was on federal home detention. An ankle monitor locked to his leg, tracking every move. Strict rules, no exceptions. He couldn't commit another offense, couldn't be around firearms, and his movement was limited heavy. The government was watching closely, no room for mistakes. Now here's where things start getting tense. According to prosecutors, during those first few months back, problems started building with his record deal.
Thank you for coming. This week, 9 individuals, including well-known musical artists, kidnapped and robbed at gunpoint numerous victims at a music studio in Dallas, Texas. 8 of the 9 were arrested yesterday in Dallas, Memphis, and Nashville. These individuals who are charged and arrested include Lontrell Williams Jr., also known as Pooh Shiesty, Lontrell Williams Sr., Rodney Wright Jr., also known as Big 30, and were inside the recording studio. Williams Jr. and 8 co-conspirators, several of whom traveled from Memphis, Tennessee, executed a coordinated armed takeover. As alleged, Williams Jr. produced an AK-style pistol and forced one of the victims to sign a release from the recording contract at gunpoint.
He was still signed to Gucci Mane's 1017 Records, but he wasn't feeling the situation at all. Sources close to everything say that by 2024, Gucci Mane had already let most of his artists go, but he held on to just 2, and Pooh Shiesty was one of them. That's the part that really stands out. He kept him on the label even while he was locked up. That kind of move usually means something deeper is going on behind the scenes. But according to prosecutors, that decision didn't sit right with Shiesty at all. It turned into frustration that kept building over time. And instead of handling it through lawyers, management, or any normal industry process, things allegedly started heading in a completely different direction. Because what came next wasn't business as usual. It was something way more serious and way more risky than anyone expected. Something started forming behind the scenes, a situation involving 9 different people, a road trip stretching from Memphis all the way to Dallas, a stop at a Staples office supply store, and weapons allegedly tied into the plan. Fast forward to January 10th, 2026! That's when everything locked in. Pooh Shiesty reached out directly to Gucci Mane and set up a meeting at a studio on Dallas Parkway. The message was simple on the surface. Come in, let's talk about the contract, let's fix this face-to-face. Gucci agreed to it. He flew in from Atlanta with 2 other industry professionals, including his head of security. They arrived in Dallas on a Saturday afternoon thinking it was strictly business. No tension visible, no warning signs from the outside, but according to federal court documents, investigators later uncovered something that changed the entire meaning of that day. They say Pooh Shiesty's father, Trell Williams Sr., had gone into a Staples store just hours before the meeting. Prosecutors believe he printed out contract termination paperwork there. Documents meant to be placed in front of Gucci Mane and signed on the spot. What looked like a negotiation was already locked in long before anyone walked into that room. By January 10th, 2026, the meeting was not about discussion anymore. It was already decided. At exactly 3:43 in the afternoon, the group entered the studio. 3 people walked in believing they were stepping into a professional setting, a normal industry meeting, or so it seemed. But what prosecutors now describe is something entirely different.
So, Gucci walk in the damn studio, bro, with his people. To Draco's. The footage is going to show Pooh Shiesty had one on him, Big 30 had one on him. Only person who really gonna escape from this is the Pops. The Pops did not want none of this to go on. Nigga like this, bro. Gucci look at the dad like, the Pops just head down. You can't tell your son nothing right now. Your son the number 1 right now. You gonna sign this? Sign the damn papers. And we need that. Wedding ring. Watch. Come up out that. The person who closed the door is Big 30. He got his Draco. That's why they put the warrant out for him. This is all on camera, so nothing I'm telling y'all ain't shit that the feds don't know. A lot of y'all gonna be like, oh, bro, this fair work, this fair work, this fair work. It really ain't. I tried to say the nigga by saying he wasn't there. Saying he left and then these cats did whatever they did. I tried. I tried to get the jury. By the time I get to Dallas, these niggas done already left. It's
Over the next hour inside that building, they call it a coordinated armed takeover. Tension rose fast, and then Pooh Shiesty asked to speak with Gucci Mane privately. He pulled him straight into the recording room. No hesitation, no delay, just movement. Inside that room, according to the FBI affidavit, it wasn't just Pooh Shiesty present. It was also his father, Trell Williams Sr., and Big 30 Rodney Wright Jr., 3 against 1. The energy in that space shifted instantly. Pooh Shiesty placed the contract termination paperwork right on the table in front of Gucci Mane. He told him to sign. That simple words on the surface, but the pressure in that room was anything but simple. Gucci Mane refused, and that's when everything allegedly escalated. According to prosecutors, Pooh Shiesty pulled out an AK-style pistol and aimed it directly at the man who built 1,017 records. The same man who gave him his first major cosign. The same man who kept him on the roster while he was sitting inside a federal prison cell. Under that pressure, the signature finally came through. Gucci Mane signed the paperwork, but it didn't end there, not even close. After the signature, the situation allegedly turned into a full robbery. Gucci Mane was stripped of his wedding ring, his watch, his earrings, and all his cash. Everything on him was taken in that moment. Outside that room, the other 6 individuals were dealing with the remaining victims. Weapons drawn, tension high. One victim, identified in the complaint only as MM, was forced onto a studio couch and had his wallet and jewelry taken. Another victim, identified as BP, was allegedly choked from behind until he nearly lost consciousness. Then he was robbed of a Rolex watch, a Louis Vuitton bag, Apple AirPods, and other valuables. And at the door, Big 30's role becomes critical in the allegations. Prosecutors say he stood there blocking the exit with his body. No one leaving, no movement out. The studio became a sealed space in that moment. At one point, according to the criminal complaint, the victims believed they were about to be executed. That was the fear inside that room on Dallas Parkway, a Saturday afternoon that turned into something far more extreme than anyone expected. Eventually, it was over inside that space. The group was ordered out and everything shifted fast. They loaded up into multiple vehicles right outside the studio. A 2020 Dodge Charger Hellcat registered to Pooh Shiesty's father, plus 2 rental cars also tied back to Basabadantaz, his father's name. No hesitation, just movement, and they were gone from the scene.
Man, so they said Pooh Shiesty's dad has been arrested after the FBI raid yesterday. I don't know if it's true, but I'm also seeing reports of Pooh Shiesty being arrested. It say this is allegedly linked to the rumors of Pooh Shiesty and Big 30 robbing Gucci Mane. If I ain't tripping, I remember this story being talked about months ago. When I first heard about it, I thought it was a fake ass story. It sound made up. They accused Pooh Shiesty of forcing Gucci Mane to let him out his record deal. I don't even understand how you could do that. I don't even think that would work to get out of a deal. I'm also seeing people in the comments say Gucci snitched. How do y'all accuse somebody of snitching without proof? It be people in the comments that live in good ass neighborhoods saying somebody snitched. Y'all gotta understand, a lot of the industry fuck with Gucci. If that actually happened, a lot of people would not rock with Pooh Shiesty. They would basically try to blackball dude. A lot of labels probably wouldn't even want to mess with him. I ain't saying he ain't in jail, but it's probably for something else. It's a wild ass story though.
That night, they checked into a hotel in Dallas, and within hours of leaving that studio, things got even louder online. Multiple co-defendants started posting on social media, flashing stolen jewelry, showing off Rolexes, acting like nothing had just happened. The same items allegedly taken during the incident were now being displayed to their followers in real time. The investigation that followed became massive, and overwhelming according to law enforcement. And what shocked investigators the most was how much of the evidence came directly from the defendants themselves. Pooh Shiesty's ankle monitor placed him at the studio at the exact time of the robbery, a direct violation of his federal home detention terms. He was supposed to be home, but the GPS data told a different story. The government was already tracking him live and didn't even realize at first how serious the situation had become. Then everything started stacking up. License plate reader data tracked a convoy moving from Memphis to Dallas in the days leading up to January 10th. Cell phone records backed up the same timeline. Rental car paperwork tied Trell Williams Sr. directly to the vehicles used in the trip. On top of that, surveillance footage pulled from multiple sources sealed even more of the picture. Cameras from the studio building, a nearby office building, the Staples store, and even the hotel where the group stayed all lined up. Every angle started connecting the same story, piece by piece. After all of that, investigators say the case didn't just rely on testimony or guesses. It was all captured, step by step, and then backed up by physical evidence. First came the fingerprints. Latent prints were recovered inside the studio. Even small items told a big story. Red plastic cups left behind by the crew were collected and processed. Those prints were matched to multiple defendants, tying people directly to the scene in a way that couldn't be ignored. Then came something even more revealing, an Apple AirTag hidden inside one of the stolen wallets. That tiny device turned into a tracking breakthrough. The last known signal from that AirTag pointed straight to a parking lot next to an apartment building tied to Trell Williams Sr., the same building where Pooh Shiesty had reportedly been staying. That discovery pulled investigators directly back to Cordova, Tennessee. On April 1st, 2026, FBI agents executed search and arrest warrants at the family home. At the same time, Trell Williams Sr. was taken into custody in Memphis. Pooh Shiesty, who had been staying at a residential reentry facility in Dallas, was also arrested there. In total, 8 of the 9 suspects were arrested across Dallas, Memphis, and Nashville in a coordinated federal sweep.
So if y'all remember, about a month ago, there was a story circulating around the internet that Pooh Shiesty and Big 30 had robbed Gucci Mane. Everyone said it was just rumors, but today, this breaking news that just came out that it was true. Rapper Gucci Mane robbed and kidnapped by Pooh Shiesty and 3 other suspects. Channel 2 in Atlanta just reported that on January 10th, Gucci Mane, real name Radrick Davis, traveled with 2 others to a business meeting at the studio arranged by Pooh Shiesty, real name Lontrell Williams Jr. in Dallas, described as a coordinated takeover. Williams is accused of pulling out an AK-style pistol and forced one of the victims to sign a release of recording contract at gunpoint, according to the U.S. Attorney. Davis and others were then robbed of cash, Rolex watches, and other jewelry. Pooh Shiesty is signed to Gucci Mane's label. So Pooh Shiesty is over with. If I don't know how dumb or what he was thinking when he was doing this, but he ain't never coming home. He already got those previous charges. Now you got federal kidnapping and robbery charges. We done seen the last of Big 30 and Pooh Shiesty.
The 9th suspect, Terrence Rogers, who allegedly posted the stolen Rolex on social media, was still on the run at the time of the announcement. Then the 32-page criminal complaint was unsealed on April 2nd. That's when the full scope of what happened inside that Dallas studio on January 10th finally became public knowledge. And that's exactly when the situation stopped being just a rumor and became something the entire internet couldn't agree on anymore. Federal documents reveal something that shifted the entire case again. One of the victims, identified as R.D. Roderick Davis, who is actually Gucci Mane's legal name, ended up cooperating with investigators. He didn't stay silent. He gave details, pointed things out, and helped build the timeline piece by piece. He identified his alleged attacker through an Instagram handle. He described exactly what that person was wearing. He told federal agents who walked into that studio that day, down to names and roles. That level of detail made the case even more intense. Then 50 Cent jumped online almost immediately.
And what I realized is that these cliques of rappers, because right now it's weird in Atlanta, it's getting weird for everybody else. Why? That's all their homies. Like that's the cool crew. So I thought that when the whole F the streets thing was, kind of transpiring and going around social media and hip hop, who I felt should be the last person that jumped in on that? Pooh Shiesty. You just came out of jail and you're saying that you're back on the streets and you're bringing back the streets damn near.
He referenced Gucci Mane's street history and publicly questioned how someone with that reputation ended up cooperating in a federal investigation. The post didn't stay up for long. It was deleted, but screenshots spread everywhere, and once it hit the internet, it was impossible to erase. The debate exploded instantly. People split in 2 directions. Was Gucci Mane wrong for cooperating after being a victim of an alleged armed robbery and kidnapping? Or does his past image and code change how people are supposed to see that decision? The argument has been ongoing ever since, with no real agreement in sight. Big 30's attorney, Arthur Horn, also stepped forward with a statement. He said his client has no prior criminal history, that he and Pooh Shiesty came up in the music scene together, and that they shared a close bond. He urged people not to rush judgment until all facts are fully laid out. He also expressed hope that Big 30 would be granted bond so he could fight the case outside of custody. Every single defendant in this case is now facing life in federal prison if convicted. That's the weight of it. But underneath all the legal noise, there's something deeper that keeps getting overlooked. Gladys Baines. On April 1st, she watched FBI agents execute a federal search warrant on her family home in real time. Trell Williams Sr., Pooh Shiesty's father, was taken from that house in custody, and her son, her firstborn, was taken too, the one who had just come home 6 months earlier, the one whose release she had celebrated, the one the whole city had treated like a comeback moment. That same son was now being arrested in Dallas. At the exact same time, her son and his father were both taken down in the same federal kidnapping case. Same morning, same wave of arrest, same storm hitting one family from every angle. She didn't give the public a direct statement, not a press run, not an interview. Instead, she went to Facebook, and that's where her voice showed up. On Wednesday, she posted first, "It's power in the name Jesus." That was it. A short message grounded in faith, no mention of charges, no mention of names, nothing about what was unfolding. Then Thursday came right after the DOJ press conference, after the world had already seen the 32-page complaint, after Gucci Mane's name was everywhere online, after the internet completely erupted. She posted again. "My ears ring." Then hashtags. Hashtag keep talking, hashtag blessings on blessings, followed by prayer hands emojis. And one more line. I've been blocked. You hating folks, hashtag amen. That's all she gave the world. 3 posts total, no interviews, no emotional breakdown on camera, no public explanation, just fragments of a mother processing something too heavy for headlines. And somehow that silence said everything, because when you look at her path, it's nonstop pressure from every direction. She raised a son who became one of the biggest names in Memphis music history. She watched him rise, watched him get hit with a federal case at the peak of his career. She visited him while he was locked up. She saw him walk out in October 2025, finally free, fans celebrating like it was a victory lap. And then just 4 months later, everything collapsed again. 4 months! The FBI shows up at her door at 6 in the morning. Her family home gets hit with a federal warrant, and the father of her child is taken into custody right there in front of her. No warning, no buffer, just reality hitting all at once. That is one of the most painful things to even imagine. And yet she handled it with nothing but prayer, silence, and a quiet kind of defiance toward the people she felt were speaking out of turn. Why? S.L. Woody, who already has his own history with the legal system, went on Instagram visibly shaken up. He talked about watching Pooh Shiesty come home, drop a first day out record, and then end up right back in the same storm. He didn't sugarcoat it at all. He said pride and ego are the real enemies. He said the cycle only stops when the mindset changes. That message hit the comment section hard. People were split instantly. Some agreed, saying he was speaking facts. Others defended Pooh Shiesty, pushing back hard, and others were just confused, trying to figure out what was really going on. Then Gucci Clarissa Shields publicly backed Woody on X, adding even more fuel to the conversation. The culture was reacting in real time, clip by clip, post by post, argument by argument. But through all of that noise, Gladys Baines stayed in her own lane. No interviews, no explanations, just her posts, her prayer hands, and silence that said more than words ever could. And now the weight of this case is undeniable. For Pooh Shiesty, this is no longer just about music or momentum. It's about whether a second chance ever really existed for him at all. He had the tools, the industry space, and a fan base waiting for his return. A rare second act that most people never get after federal prison, but right now it's hanging by a thread. If convicted, he's facing life in federal prison at his current age. That would mean the rest of his life is gone in one ruling. And for Big 30, the situation is just as heavy, and by every account he wasn't seen as the main planner. His lawyer says he has no prior criminal history. He came up through music, built his own lane, and had his own momentum building. But now the cost of loyalty to one friendship could change everything. His entire future is sitting in the hands of a federal court in the Northern District of Texas. For Rel Williams Sr., the father at the center of all this, the situation is devastating. This is the man prosecutors say rented the vehicles, printed documents, and traveled to Dallas alongside his son. Now, he isn't just a father involved. He is a federal kidnapping defendant. That shift is brutal to even process. He went from being a father close to his son's world to being charged in the very same criminal complaint, same case, same indictment, same spotlight from the federal government. That kind of collapse doesn't happen quietly. And for Gucci Mane, the weight looks different, but still heavy. This is someone who spent years rebuilding a legitimate legacy after his own legal battles. And he got sober. He turned 1,017 records into a real industry prospect. He earned a Grammy nomination. He even wrote a memoir about survival, growth, and transformation. He built something that looked like redemption. But now he's tied to one of the most controversial moments of his career. He has to carry what allegedly happened inside that Dallas studio on January 10th. And he also has to deal with the internet reaction to his decision to cooperate as a victim. That public debate has followed him nonstop, and the broader message, as YSL Woody put it, hits harder than anything else. He said mindset is everything, because inside federal prison, people learn fast how advanced surveillance really is. License plate readers, ankle monitors, AirTags, social media tracking. None of it is hidden knowledge anymore. And yet, according to the case, just months after release, that same system allegedly placed Pooh Shiesty directly at the scene through monitoring data. Right now, Pooh Shiesty is in federal custody awaiting trial. His father is in federal custody as well. Big 30 is also in custody, currently fighting for bond. Terrence Rogers is still being actively sought by authorities. And Gladys Baines is back in Memphis, posting prayer hands, staying quiet, and waiting through it all. And that final part, the waiting, the silence, the aftermath, is the part nobody turns into a song or a headline. Nobody's going to post about it on social media, but that's exactly what makes it feel the most real. The part nobody turns into a headline, but the mother left behind again, watching everything unfold in silence while the world debates it online. And it's not just about one moment or one piece of evidence, not just the ankle monitor data, not just the deleted 50-cent post, not just the AirTag inside the stolen wallet, not just fingerprints on red cups left behind in that studio. All of those things became parts of a much bigger picture that investigators pulled together step by step. The real story goes deeper than the case file. It's a family from Memphis at the center of it all. A mother who raised her son into one of the biggest names in the city's music history. A father who was allegedly so close to that world that he ended up tied into the same situation through cars, paperwork, and travel. A son who came home from federal prison with what looked like a second chance that why do people never get? And then a Saturday afternoon in Dallas where everything reportedly unraveled at once. The music, the freedom, the future, all colliding in one moment that changed everything. His last Instagram post before the arrest showed off a luxury car on March 11th, a flex that now lives online in a very different context. The comment section today is filled with people saying the feds were already watching it closely and even talking about seizures. Meanwhile, Gladys Baines is still on Facebook posting prayer hands, holding onto faith while everything else moves fast around her. If this story hit different for you, if you saw angles you hadn't seen before, then tap in with a like, subscribe, share, and drop a comment. Because this is what we do here. We don't just give headlines, we break down the full picture. The evidence, the culture, and everything in between. More updates on this case will come as it develops. Every court appearance, every filing, every co-defendant update, every new detail from those 32 pages. And as always, I'll catch you in the next one.